Okay, so I've seen a lot on how to deal with debt videos on prepper channels, so I guess there's many preppers that are looking to get out of debt, or debt was what caused the hard time and that's why they are now prepping. I want to go over my ideas on how to deal with debt. And I gotta say, I've never really been in much debt. I've owed cash to like coworkers I've borrowed when, let's say, I lost my wallet or deposit or something didn't go through. So I'm pretty good with money. And as well, I understand money is losing value. You know, we're not going to go that much into inflation. Yes, some debt can be wiped out by inflation, but not all, right? But we're going to mainly go over how to manage money here. The first thing you need to do is know where your money is going. Make a list of all the expenses it takes to run your household, right? And you divide it into how many times you get paid in a month. So you know how much from each check is going to be earmarked for bills. Let's take me and my wife, for example. We have a basic savings account because, well, you can't do anything without that. And linked to it, there's 3 checking accounts. I have a checking account. My wife has a checking account. And there is a checking account for specifically just for bills, right? Rent, utility, paying for my daughter's school lunch. Everything else is going to be just automatically deducted from that account. So, you figure out your total monthly expenses. I get paid 4 times in a month, so I added the highest amount of each bill. So, for example, let's say your electric bill runs from $100 to $120. Well, I would just put the $120 aside, right? And there's a reason for this. I'll get to it in a bit. Now, so I divide the total monthly expenses by 4, right? I get paid every week. So every payday, I transfer 25% of the total monthly expenses to the bills account. And my wife does the same thing for the bill she covers, right? This allows us to know what we have left over after each paycheck. What's left over and also ensures that the bills are all accounted for. By putting the highest amount of each bill, it adds up an emergency expense fund over time, right? Sometimes bills come out higher than expected, sometimes lower. But overall, it'll build up. And I would say just keep doing that if you can until you have a month or two, at least, bare minimum, month or two amount of bill money in there, just in case. My wife and I pull a little cash out every payday for daily expenses, right? First thing is we transfer money to the bills, then we pull a little bit of cash out for ourselves. We also have, each of us have credit cards. This depends, man, if you're good with credit cards or not, right? So we have a little bit of cash that we use, and we'll go very slowly with that cash, right? It'll last us for a while. But we also have each the cashback card, right? Capital One cashback, and we pay that sucker religiously every payday. So after we go to a little bit of cash, if we need to put something on a credit card, we'll do that. But every payday, we knock that bill out. We carry a 0% balance, right? Sometimes, for a while there, we had it where it automatically deducted $20 after it reached 20 cashback points. And some years we've left it in there the entire year. And then Christmas is basically paid for, right? As well as maintain good credit, right? I keep my savings, most of my savings, I wouldn't put it all in the bank. So me, have it in dividend paying, mining and energy stocks, some precious metals especially, and gold money, which is the 100% gold backed bank account for easy liquidation and instant access. And that's what I keep most of my money, hedged against inflation. As far as knocking out debt, there's many popular ways that people attack this. Some go after the largest, some go after the highest interest. Some work on the smallest and work their way up. You have to be careful, man. For what I'm going to recommend for those of you who can do it, a majority of people cannot manage zero balance credit card, right? So it's a big if. You need to learn the discipline. This is a double-edged sword. This is what probably got you in this mess, but it's also what can get you out. Right? If you can, I would open up a new credit card if I had massive debt. Open a credit card with 0% interest for as long as you can. If it's 15, 16, 18 months, as long as possible, and roll over your highest debt. Stop it from growing larger. That's the first thing, right? You don't want to be like a dog chasing your tail, throwing minimum payments, and the interest just keeps on growing that debt. So start with open a new credit card with the longest percentage, 15, 18, whatever the longest amount of time you can with 0%. Roll your other debt into it. And if you have to, you destroy that magnetic strip on the back of the card, so you can't go off and spend it to use it, for going out or something like that. You mess up the magnetic strip if you have to, and you leave that credit card in your safe at home, right, or wherever you keep your important papers. You keep it up. You don't carry it with you. You leave it at home. And you use it just to stop your interest from growing and pay it off, right? If you are married, and let's say you have several debts, I would say that the spouse that makes less should target debts that can be knocked out in a few months, 6 months or less maybe. While the spouse that makes more targets the highest percentage out, right? Put this on the 0% credit card that you probably, I would say, you'd have to open to keep it from growing larger, and just throw everything you can into it, Don't eat, I'm not saying eat bread and water for the entire time it takes to pay it off, but, you can figure out what you can afford to throw at it. And you stop it from growing larger. Now, the spouse that makes less would then knock out the smaller debts relatively quickly, and then throw in with, the higher making spouse, and start with the largest debt and knock it out. If you have a lot of debt, it's unlikely you're going to knock it all out before the 0% intro ends. So, again, you would have to open a new credit card and transfer the debt, continue the process. Yes, closing accounts will lower your credit, but paying it off consistently on time will increase your credit, right? So over time, you'll be better off and not having that, big old burden on you. Another thing is you got to watch vacations. I recently saw an article about most Americans taking on debt to take vacation. I can't understand that. Putting yourself in debt for a long time and in financial constraints for 2-3 weeks of having a good time is never a good idea, right? Never a good idea. Instead, you're going to go on a few weeks to relieve stress, and then the rest of the year you put more stress on yourself. Instead of a grand vacation, plan something nice. A staycation, do fun things that cost you less, man. Right? When you take time off from work, do some grilling and drinking, man. I love doing that. I'm sure, who doesn't? Right? Do some picnics, man. Fishing trips, road trips, or do them all on a camping trip, man. Right? And, for those of you guys, you can work on your outdoor skills too, man. So also, let's think of ways to make a little extra cash. Now, of course, it depends if kids or not, if one or both y'all can do this. But obviously, a part-time job would be the simplest way to do this. Simply working a day or two at a second job would be a big help, even if you only did some minimum wage, boring job. It'd put a little bit of money aside, or put a little bit of money to knock out some debt. Right? Now, one of y'all could do this, probably both of y'all. Or you can take turns. Better yet, that way nobody gets that burned out. Right? So that'd be one way to do it. Take turns, part-time jobs, if you can't both do it at the same time consistently. One thing we all need to consider is to get rid of things we don't need. In doing so, you can acquire things that you do. Go through your house, your closets, garage, and find things you don't want, need, or wear. Right? And then put it on eBay. One of the ways I make extra money is on eBay. Assuming you have an eBay and a PayPal account, sell unwanted items you know will have some value on eBay. This will take some time and a little bit of research, but you can turn a little money from things that you don't care about anymore. And sometimes you'll be surprised. I remember looking when eBay pops up advertisements and stuff. I saw that there were Disney VHS tapes selling for $100, right, around the holidays. I mean, I would never pay for something that much for something like that, but there's people out there that's what it's worth to them, right? So if you don't want it and they want it and they're willing to pay, hey man, there you go. I would be looking around for things you no longer want that have some value. Start there. And then look for ads with the highest prices that are actually getting bids. Look at the way these ads are set up and reflect your ad to mirror the more successful ads. And then get creative. I see junk drawers, man. I see where people take Eisenhower dollars, Susan B. Anthony dollars, Kennedy half dollars, bicentennials. And I know they have to go to a coin shop, because there's also Buffalo nickels, steel cents, and Indian head pennies. And they'll put them in a cigar box, with some broken jewelry or costume jewelry or something. And they'll sell them off as junk drawers. And people love that. I mean, I see them making way more than that stuff's actually worth. But some people out there love that. It's like a modern day treasure hunt for them. I don't get it, but, to each their own, man. Get creative. Craigslist, right? I use Craigslist myself sometimes. Some items can't be sold on eBay. So I turn to Craigslist. And remember also, it may not be worth it with the shipping cost. You have something that's worth $20 and it's not going to be worth shipping it. You're not going to make any money on it. Well, then Craigslist. Remember to always meet in a public place. Don't go alone. And, if you can meet in a restaurant or bank lobby or something, that'd be better off. No one's going to do anything if they're on camera, right? Do this whether you buy, sell, or trade items. If eBay is not worth it because shipping costs are not allowing it, well then Craigslist is a good way to go. You're going to put things aside that wouldn't make much money for a yard or garage sale, right? Now, it may be just a few bucks, $1 for this, $1 for that, but first off, you're going to have a less cluttered place, more space, and you're going to make a little bit of cash off of doing so. Just stuff you don't need. You can go and throw it away, or you can make a little bit of extra cash, right? Making extra money is half the problem, right? You also got to know how to make the most of it. Be sure to stretch your dollar to the fullest, right? Look at Dollar Tree. Everything is actually $1. If you saw my ultimate $50 budget bug out bag, almost everything I got in that video was from Dollar Tree. And they carry many name brand items, right? As well as alternatives, man. I'll go in there, I'll see like this big old tube of toothpaste, right? And big old tube, $1. And then you go to the store, go to Target or H-E-B or Randall's or something, right? $4 or $5. So start off there, get what you can there, and what you can't, you get elsewhere. But start with that. Also, old Wally World, right? Of course, you can't find everything you need at Dollar Tree, but you can find a lot of things at like Walmart or Target. They have some of the cheapest prices around, man. Of course, you're not going to get top of the line, but the way I see it, get something and make the most of it, right? You don't need to buy a flashlight for $100 or a bag that's, $100. That's overboard, man. YouTube is full of guys showing off expensive gear, and what's more important is using your head. Learning skills, understanding we can't plan for everything, and we must be able to solve unforeseen problems as they arise, right? Using your head, that's more important than anything else, right? If you keep your head, keep your eyes on the prize, you'll be better off. You'll be in better financial shape. You'll be able to drop that burden, that heavy burden of debt, free up a little bit of cash. That way you can take that grand vacation. You can have extra money to do things you want to, right? But it takes time and discipline, man. It's going to take a real effort. Getting into a financial bind is easy. Getting out of it, well, that's necessary, but not quite as easy and not quite as quick. But if you do so, you'll be glad you did, man. Sleeping easier at night. You have a little extra cash to do other things. You know, do away with things you don't need as well, you know. I mean, you don't really need a $200 a month phone plan, man. Just get, you know, phone is really just to make calls. You can browse online at home or something, but that's too damn much, man. Get a cheap phone. You can surf online, you know, when you get to hotspots and stuff. Just, you know, be smart with your money. You don't need that damn iPhone, right? What good is that going to do? Remember my uncle was telling me, you know, he's going to get this new phone, and, you know, he's looking at mine like, oh, that's an old piece of crap, Tom, you know. And I'm just thinking to myself, yeah, I can put, you know, my month's rent aside for a month's rent, or I can spend that month's rent on a phone that's going to, you know, wind up cracking and being thrown away in a few years anyway, right? Anyway, keep an eye and think of what you need and what you don't need, man. And in the end of the game, after you don't have any debt, after you've accumulated some cashback points, if you want to get that expensive phone, then do it. But not while you're struggling as is, man. Anyway, you know, keep your eyes on the prize. It's a hard journey, but it can be done. Anyway, that's it for me. Y'all have a good one.